Hello everyone. Bhakti movement and Sufi movement is one of the most favorite topic of UPSC from the medieval Indian history. Okay, and every time they are asking question from this part, right? So apart from the factual information, we have to focus on the ideas in which so many different scholars, so many different saints from the medieval history talked about. Okay, and at the same time, cultural development, right? Because there is huge contribution of medieval history from this Bhakti movement and Sufi movement and culture part. Okay, and for the mains examination also this is important. So here we go. Yeah. So let's begin about the origin, how this Bhakti movement finally emerged, okay, in India. So basically there were few things which were going on, right from the ancient history only, as you do know, the negatives of Brahmanism. In ancient history, you studied about the Varna system, right? And this is also Buddhism and Jainism came into existence due to one of this negativity. And so it was continued, right? Because Brahmanism in Gupta period also, you saw that Brahmanism was on the top, right? So due to negatives of Brahmanism under the Varna ashram or Varna system, secondly, low class movement, right? Now people from lower class, they started to demand their rights, okay, their social rights. Emergence of Buddhism and Jainism, okay. So after the emergence of Buddhism and Jainism, people from Hindu religion and also from Muslim community, right? They started to preserve their own culture, right? So they wanted to highlight the positive aspect of their religion. Okay, completely Buddhism is not wrong, you know. One of the aspects like this Brahmanism or the Varna system, that can be wrong in your opinion, right? So definitely there would be some positive aspect of Hinduism or any such religion as well, right? This is why to fight with the emergence of Buddhism and Jainism, because people were getting converted into Buddhism and Jainism, right? So this is why some scholars, we will see, started to preserve their culture in the name of Bhakti movement, and they started to propagate their ideas. Also Islamic invasions and rules. Okay, you saw that in 7th century AD, there was rise of Islam in Saudi Europe, right, by Prophet Muhammad Sahab, right? Then after that in India also from the 8th century only, after the Muhammad bin Qasim, then Mahmud Ghaznavi, Muhammad Ghori, Tamur. Okay, so all these started to invade in India, and this is how they actually spreaded Islam in India. And finally, in 13th century onwards, you saw the establishment of Turkish rule in India, right? So this is why people were getting converted to some other religions like Buddhism, Jainism, and Islam. Okay, so due to all this, finally Bhakti movement started in India, right? So Bhakti movement started before Sufi movement, mind it. Fine. But this is not like this Bhakti is something which is completely an origin of medieval history. Okay, no. In fact, in Upanishads and Arnikas, this keyword Bhakti, the idea of Bhakti, has been described. Okay, we can get the reference in Upanishad also, Arnikas also. So it would be incorrect to say that Bhakti was completely an invention of medieval Indian history, right? Bhakti movement first emerged in South India in 5th century AD only, right? So first of all, people see that okay, Bhakti movement started after the 12th century, 13th century, right? That's fine. But that was the second wave, right? The first wave of Bhakti movement actually emerged in South India in 5th century AD, so early. Okay. Now, the question is why Bhakti movement emerged very late in northern India? Because in 5th century AD only, we are seeing this Bhakti movement in South India. So there must be some issue in northern India. No? So first of all was mobility. Okay, mobility means invasions, and some invasions kind of things were happening continuously, right? Sanskritization. Is there anyone from the sociology optional in this batch? Is there anyone from sociology optional? Okay, not a problem. For Indian society also, you study this keyword Sanskritization from NCERT, right? So what do you mean by Sanskritization? Sanskrit, okay, Sanskritization, basically it is having two words, Sanskriti, that is culture, and plus ism, okay? So the basic meaning of Sanskritization is that people are coming from outside, okay, but when they come to new place, they are actually bringing their own culture also, okay. So what happens, that outside cultures intermingled with the local culture, okay, and that is known as Sanskritization, okay. Apart from this, in casteism there is different meaning, different connotation of Sanskritization. And what is that? When people from lower caste, okay, when they try to get the identity of upper caste, okay, by upgrading their social status or by inventing some other new subcaste, then this is also called Sanskritization, okay. This is something which is part of sociology, okay. Anyway, and coming of Muslim people were coming, so this is why there was some sort of setback to the Hindu movement, like this Bhakti movement, okay, in northern India. Now let's talk about results of Bhakti movement. Number one, modern Hinduism took place during that time only. The modern Hinduism that you see currently, right, it emerged only in this period, okay, mainly. Again, it was a kind of savior of the Hindu movement, right? If this Bhakti movement would have not been happened, then can you imagine what could be the scenario? There might have been a huge setback to the Hindu religion, right? Religion redefined at this point of time, religion redefined, okay, because in Hinduism also, right, people actually identified, okay, these are the pros and these are the cons, and this is how we have to alleviate and eliminate all these cons, right? It happens in every religion, okay. So people in Islam, people in Hindu religion, they started to analyze that thing, so they actually redefined their religion by bringing some rational ideas, okay. Rise of religious literature. At the end of the day, due to this Bhakti movement, okay, we have so many sources, literary sources from medieval Indian history period, right? And all credits go to this Bhakti movement only. All right, yeah. So basically, as you do know, to understand the whole concept of Bhakti or Sufism, you should know the basic meaning of salvation or moksha, okay. And if you remember, in ancient history also, during the time of Buddhism and Jainism, we discussed about it. So in all the religions, there is a simple concept of salvation or moksha, right? That's the basic, that's the ultimate purpose of our life, right? To get the salvation, okay. Yeah, the meaning of salvation is differ, okay. That differs from religion to religion, right? It may be different in Buddhism, may be different in Jainism, right? But at the end of the day, everybody is seeking for the salvation or the moksha, okay. So you have three different ways by which you can actually get the salvation. The first is knowledge, okay, like enlightenment, like Lord Buddha, Lord Mahavir Jain, okay, Prophet Muhammad Sahib, okay, and Guru Nanak Ji also, right? In fact, Shankaracharya, right? So they all focused on enlightenment with the help of knowledge, right? Once you get the knowledge about your life, your purpose of life, okay, and then you are starting to fulfilling that part, then it means you are on the path of salvation. The second, as suggested by various religions, especially by Bhagavad Gita, okay, they talk about the karma, right? Karma is the ultimate way by which you can get the salvation, okay. But finally, a new concept of Bhaktism emerged in medieval history, okay. This can also be a way to get the salvation. Now, what do you mean by Bhakti? The focus was not on knowledge, the focus was not even on karma, okay, but this is somewhere in between. Simply, the meaning of this Bhakti is that you have to devote yourself to your God, right? Whichever God you choose, right? But there should be full faith, and you are going to perform all the basic things, right? All the basic worshipping, okay. And you have to love the God. That's the most essential part of Bhakti. And Sufism also, you have to love your God, right? So that's a new way of getting salvation emerged in medieval Indian history, okay, in the form of Bhakti movement, in the form of Sufi movement in India. Yeah, so now let's talk about the facts and figures related to Bhakti movement specifically. So in the beginning that I was talking about, it emerged in South India only. So the Saivite were known as Nainars, okay, and the Vaishnavites were known as Alvars. So Alvars were the followers of Vishnuji, Lord Vishnuji, and Nainars were the followers of Lord Shiva. Right? They preached the Bhakti cult under the Pallavas, Pandyas, and Chola during the early medieval period. Okay, but the spread of Bhakti movement in medieval India was the direct result of the influence of the spread of Islam in India. Okay, spread of Islam was the one of the biggest thing that happened during the early medieval period, right? Number one. Number two, monotheism or belief in one God. Monotheism is nothing but belief in one God, right? Plus equality. Equality means no caste system. In Bhakti movement, we don't have casteism, right? No upper caste, no lower caste, all people are equal. And brotherhood of a man and rejection of rituals and class division are the distinctive characteristics of Islam. All right. Moreover, the preaching of Sufi teachers shaped the thinking of Bhakti reformers also. How they were interlinked? Let me tell you. Yeah. So let me again tell you the brief history in South India. So as I told you, Alvar were the followers of Vishnuji and Nainars were the followers of Shivji, right? But there is huge debate regarding their approach, and sometimes we see that there is huge debate between Alvar and Nainara. Okay, we know that they are belonging to the same cult, same Hindu religion, but still there was some debate between them. Okay, but apart from those debates, right, those differentiations, we have some similarity that you should know, right? If you get any such statement in the examination, you should understand that. Number one, in both the aspects, Alvar also and Nainars also, they focus love to personal God. Personal God, okay. Against Buddhism and Jainism, okay. Yes, against Buddhism and Jainism, right? And against the caste system also. So these are the similarities between Nainaras and Alvars. Now in Western India, basically this Saint Tukaram, he was the one who spreaded Bhakti movement in Maharashtra. Okay. In northern India, again people were divided in two parts. One of them was Saguna, okay, and the second school of thought was Nirguna. Okay. So what do you mean by this Sagun? Yeah. So basically in Sagun, you are talking about personal God, but in Nirgun, you are believing that no, there is only one God. Okay, you may be from Islam, you may be from Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, or any other religion, but our God is one. Okay, this was the philosophy of Nirguna. In Saguna, we had idol worship. You are allowed to perform all your worshipings. Okay, you can worship your idol. Okay, in the form of idol, right?
But personal God or one God में क्या फर्क है?
What I come?
Sir, personal God और one God में क्या फर्क होता है?
Personal God means that you are believing in Lord Vishnu. I am believing in Lord Shiva. Okay, yes. Someone else is believing in Lord Krishna.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's about personal God, right?
Yes,
but
sir,
there is ultimate one God. There are no many numbers of different gods. Like in Hindu religion, the people say that there are around more than 33 crores gods. Okay, but people from Nirguna sects, they talk about no, there is only one God, right? And basically this Saguna sect developed especially in the early stage. Okay, but majority was in south. And if we talk about some examples, then we have Ramananda, very famous one, because Ramananda was the guru of Kabir Das ji. Okay, Tulsidas ji, who was a follower of Lord Rama, who also wrote Ramcharitmanas. Surdas was a follower of Lord Krishna. Mirabai, follower of Lord Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. Okay, and Kabir Das ji, Guru Nanak ji, right, founder of Sikhism, Dadu Dayal, Rai Das, all these are supposed to be pioneers of Nirguna sect. Okay, you should know the basic difference between Saguna and Nirguna, right? Since Saguna, there is God and it is having some sort of form, but in Nirguna, we have formless God, right? And there is only one God. Idol worship is not allowed in Nirguna. Now, similarly, I'm going to tell you the basic background of Sufism. Okay, the basic starting point and their nature, especially in India, right? Basically, Sufism was a liberal reform, like Bhakti, liberal reform movement within Islam. Okay, it had its origin in Persia, not in India. The origin of Sufi movement was not in India but in Persia. Persia is nothing but the contemporary name of Iran, and it spread into India in the 11th century only, right? Yeah. So the basic meaning of Sufi movement is they rejected the religion. Okay, here the meaning of religion is what? That orthodoxy. Okay, orthodoxy. And it was based on universal brotherhood. That they call it Darikh-e Dunya. Okay, Sufi movement is related to Muslim people. This is why you would see many keywords, okay, belonging to Arabic, Persian, and Urdu. So this Darikh-e Dunya was nothing but the idea of universal brotherhood. Okay, yeah. Now, why Sufi movement emerged against orthodoxy? Okay, which happens in all the religions, right? Like Brahmanism. Okay. Second, Renaissance. Renaissance means coming of new ideas, right? New logical and rational ideas. Foreign invasions also, all right? Due to foreign invasions, it actually led to the emergence of Sufi movement in India and promotion of religion at the same time. Here, the meaning of religion is what? Logical, on logic basis, on rational basis, okay? Not anything which is related to orthodoxy, right? And we have certain kits that I have taken from the NCERT only. So Silsila was sect. Okay, there were different sects like Nirguna, Saguna. They are different sect of Bhakti movement in northern India. To similarly, Silsila was some sort of school of thought. Okay, then the leader of a particular Silsila was used to be called as Sufi or Kalandar. You must have heard the songs Mast Kalandar, right? Then the Khanka. Khanka was the living place where the leader or the Kalandar, okay, used to live with his disciples. And the Guru came to be known as Peer. Peer also, Peer. And the disciples came to known as, they were called basically Murid. Okay, Murid. Yeah, I can understand many of you don't understand Hindi. So here the line is, the leader was also known as Peer, right? And disciples were known as Murids, right? Please note it down in your notebook. Why famous? Okay, why this Sufi movement became famous in India, right? Because initially in 11th century, okay, there was not much influence of Islam in India, right? But still it got famous. Why? Because the Delhi Sultanate established in 13th century, getting this? And I'm talking about 11th century. So why it got famous? Compassion to the human. Again, it talked about no casteism. Okay, open for everyone, right? No casteism, open for everyone, no orthodoxy, right? And they actually preached their messages in local language, like Buddhism did, like Jainism did, right? So they adopted local language in order to spread their message, right? Like similar to Bhakti movement only, right? They focused on God love. You love to your God, right? You don't have to perform any rituals. You don't have to chant any mantras and so on, right? And they started to worship God in the form of singing. Okay, that is, known as Qawwali. You understand Qawwali? Qawwali, that's a form of song, right? That they sing. But in India, like Bhakti movement, right? In India, there were, in the world basically, there were different schools of thought related to Sufism. So the school of thought which existed in India was Hanafi sect. Is that clear? Right. Now I'm going to tell you the Sufi movement in India. So basically this Hanafi sect was divided in two parts, Besara and Basara. These are Urdu keywords. Similarly, like it happened in Bhakti movement, Nirguna and Saguna. Okay. So here again, this Hanafi sect in India was divided in two parts. Besara, which means they are not bounded by Islamic law. Not bounded by Islamic law. Besara. Okay, Sara is nothing but Sariyat. You understand Sariyat? Sariyat is basically the Islamic laws. Islamic laws are known as Sariyat. Okay. And the another school was Ba Sara, in which they were bounded by Islamic law. Okay. So they had to follow Islamic law. They could not go against Islam. Is that clear? Fine. Now this Ba Sara school, okay, what was actually divided in 4 parts. In India, okay, basically in Delhi region, Qadri, Chisti, Naqshbandi, and Suharwadi, right? Now you should know the basic difference of Qadri, Chisti, Naqshbandi, and Suharwadi. Why so? Because UPSC asks questions from this part. Okay, so you cannot ignore this. So I can understand these keywords may be difficult for some of you, right? But you have to revise it multiple times in order to get command over it. So yeah, let me tell you this. The first one is about Qadri, and just know simple one fact, nothing else. Okay, it was basically propagated by Dara Shikoh in India, right? Dara Shikoh, who was Dara Shikoh? He was brother of Aurangzeb. Very nice. So he was about to become the new emperor after Shah Jahan, but Aurangzeb killed his brother and become the emperor of India, right? So Dara Shikoh was one of the supporter, right, of this Qadri Silsila in India. Next is Chisti. The most famous in India was Chistis, right? In Ajmer also you see that there is, a tomb of Khwaja Moinuddin Chisti, right? Dargah that you call it. Apart from this, Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, the spiritual guru of Qutubuddin Aibak. Okay, he was Bakhtiyar Kaki, who was also from the Chisti. Okay, and on the name of this Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki only, Qutubuddin Aibak named the Qutub Minar as Qutub Minar, right? Baba Farid was also from the Chisti Silsila. Nasiruddin Chirag Delhi was one of the most prominent leader from this school. Sheikh Burhanuddin Garib. Okay, so there is an interesting fact regarding their names. Okay, all these leaders, they started to use this Garib in their name, okay, as their surname. Why? To attract people from, economically backward section, right? So they wanted to attract all the people from the lower caste, okay, especially, and all those poor people, underprivileged people. This is why they use this word Garib, which means poor, in their surname, right, as their surnames. Sheikh Burhanuddin Garib, okay, he is also known as South Chisti, because his main center was at Daulatabad in South India, Daulatabad, right? Again in Delhi, there is a famous dargah known as Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia in New Delhi only, right? So there is one quote that I found in one of the test series, right? This Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia, okay, he was guru, spiritual guru related to Chisti school of thought, right? And he actually saw the 7 sultans of Delhi, from Ghiyasuddin Balban to Muhammad bin Tughlaq, right? Balban, then Kakobar, then Khaljiz, okay, then Tughlaq, right? So he saw 7 sultans of Delhi, right? Then Sheikh Salim Chishti, who was spiritual guru of Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar, the famous Mughal emperor, right? And then Amir Khusro, we see the contribution of Amir Khusro in the cultural development of India, right? So he was also from this Chisti Silsila or school of thought. Is that clear? So please focus on this part. Every famous person, prominent persons are belonging to Chisti only. Then about Naqshbandi, okay, again there is only one fact. Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi, it was asked in, very surprisingly, it was asked in UPSC. Okay, yes, it was asked. So just know about this single fact. This Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi was one of the most prominent leader of this silsila, right? And then about Suharwadi. The meaning of Suharwadi is about people who emphasize on reforms, okay? Religious reforms, social reforms, Suharwadi. So they were mainly centered at Punjab and Multan, basically the Pakistan region, okay? And they were different from Chisti. How? As to get kingdom's support, they did not allow poors. So basically Suharwadi, they focused to get the support of sultans or the kingdom, okay, and they did not follow, they did not actually allow poor people. But Chishti people, for Chishti people, the main focus was on poor. This is why they use this word Garib as surname, okay, to attract masses from the lower strata of society. Apart from this fact, we have Sheikh Sahabuddin, Sheikh Badruddin Zakaria, right? They are two prominent leaders from Suharwadi sect. Okay. So I have tried my level best to provide you this whole set of information in just one single page, right? Yeah. Now we are going to discuss about some of the important facts and figures which may be important for the prelims examination. The first Sufi saint was Sheikh Ismail of Lahore. Okay, he started to preach the ideas of Sufism in India first. Okay, the most famous of the Sufi saint of India was, as you do know, Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti from Ajmer. Ajmer is one of the famous city, okay, located near to Delhi in Rajasthan area, right? Chauhan was, right? Prithviraj Chauhan, who fought the Battle of Train, he was from Ajmer only. So he was settled in Ajmer, which became the center of his activities, right? Bahauddin Zakaria came under the influence of another famous mystic, Shihabuddin Suharwadi, that we just discussed. These were two prominent leaders from the Suharwadi Silsila. Okay. Hazrat Nizamuddin Auliya, who belonged to the Chishti order that we discussed, he saw the 7 sultans of Delhi. The Sufi saints are revered even today by not only Muslims but by a large number of Hindus also. Okay. Their tombs have become popular places of pilgrimage for both communities, right? In fact, the tombs of Nizamuddin Auliya and also the Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti, right? So it's not like only Muslim people visit there, okay, but people from different religion go there, right? That's the impact of culture. That's an example of Sanskritization that I was talking about. Sufism stressed the elements of love and devotion as effective means of realization of God. Okay, no rituals, right? Simply love and devotion to your God, to your personal God. In Sufism, self-discipline was considered an essential condition to gain the knowledge of God by sense of perception. Okay. That's a basic thing which is applicable on Bhakti movement also. But in Bhakti movement, there were different schools, right? Nirguna and Saguna. So sometimes you get confused. But while the Orthodox Muslim, okay, the Orthodox, okay, the old believers who didn't want to change, they emphasize external conduct on rituals. The Sufis lay stress on inner purity, while Orthodox believe in blind observance of rituals. The Sufis consider love and devotion as the only means of attaining salvation, right? Love and devotion. I told you Pir was Guru, right? And Muris were disciples. Other ideas emphasized by Sufism was, other ideas means what? Apart from love and devotion, okay, meditation, good actions, repentance for sins, right? Paschatap जिसे आप बोलते हो, performance of prayers and pilgrimages, fasting, charity, suppression of passions by ascetic practices, and so on. So all these were other ideas of Sufism only. Okay. In the later period, you saw that there was, in fact, in the men's examination, UPSC asked a question on religious policy of the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Okay, that's an important question. So what happened, Akbar was very much interested in the religion part. Okay, so this is why, he all the time used to discuss all those religious matters. Okay, and in fact, the philosophy is known as, the philosophy of Akbar is known as Sulhkul. Okay. So it was the religious philosophy of Akbar. It was somewhere influenced from Sufism and Bhakti movement. Okay. The two parallel movements, that is Sufi and Bhakti, based on the doctrines of love selfless, devotion. Okay. And it all contributed to a great deal to bringing the two communities closer together, because the idea was same, no? Right? No rituals, no casteism. Okay. So this is why they came together, right? They came close together. But unfortunately, this trend did not last long. Now we are going to analyze some contribution of different scholars, different saints under the Bhakti movement during the medieval period. Okay. In the 9th century, Sankara, known as Sankaracharya, he started a Hindu revivalist movement. Okay, he was one of the first, in fact, was the first saint from the Bhakti movement. Okay. So he actually gave the idea of orientation to Hinduism, right? He was born in Kerala only, and his doctrine of Advaita or monism was too abstract to appeal to the common man. Okay. So you should know this, the concept of Advaita or monism is related to Sankaracharya. That is something that I have already taught you in the notes of ancient philosophy. Okay. Moreover, there was a reaction against the Advaita concept of Nirguna Brahman. Okay, Nirguna Brahman is nothing but the philosophy of Nirguna only, Nirguna sect. Okay. So here the focus of Sankaracharya was on Nirguna sect, right? But as happens all the time, people are not ready to immediately or radically change the complete system of their belief. Okay. So this is why there was a reaction against the Advaita concept suggested by Sankaracharya. In the 12th century, Ramanujan, okay, who was born in Chennai only, right? He preached the idea of Visishta Dvaitavad. So first of all, you should know the basic meaning of Visishta Dvaitavad, which is related to Ramanujan. Okay. So according to this philosophy, God is Saguna. There is some form of God, right? And we can worship in the form of idol. So the creative process and all the objects in creation are real, but not illusory, right? As was held by Sankaracharya. So this was the basic difference. So therefore, the whole philosophy of Visishta Dvaitavad suggested by Ramanujan suggested that God, soul, and matter are real. Okay. But what Sankaracharya did, he said that there is no shape of God. Okay. So there is only one true, monism, only one true. What is that? God only. Advaita, that is called the philosophy of Advaita. But here Ramanujan said that no, God, soul, and matter are also real, right? He also advocated the Parvati Marga. It was asked in UPSC examination. This concept of Parvati Marga is related to Ramanujan. Okay, please mind it, no Savagism, because you might get confused with this word Parvati. Okay, I think this is Prati Marga, right? The path of self-surrender to God. So here you have to surrender towards God, right? To God, self-surrender. And he invited downtrodden to Vaishnavism. Okay, because due to influence of Brahmanism, right? So downtrodden, they were called Shudras, right? And they were maltreated. The next concept is about Dvaita or dualism, okay, propagated by Madhava, popularly known as Madhavacharya, right? So he propagated the idea of Dvaita or dualism, right? Dualism means there are two things in the world, Jivatma and Paramatma. Okay, Jivatma means all the organisms who are having life, and Paramatma, the ultimate God, right? Again, God, soul, matter are unique in nature. They are real, but at the same time, they are unique in nature. Apart from Madhavacharya, Ramanujan, and Sankaracharya, we have Nimbark and Vallabhacharya. So they were also preachers of Vaishnavite Bhakti movement only, right? Mainly in Telangana region. Surdas was a disciple of Vallabhacharya. Surdas was basically a disciple of Lord Krishna. Okay, there is some typo here, Lord Krishna, and he popularized the idea of Krishna cult in northern India. Okay, So I will provide you the corrected notes. Don't worry about this. Surdas was a disciple of Lord Krishna. He wrote the book Sur Sagar. Sur Sagar. Yeah, that's a beautiful painting about Mirabai. Mirabai was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, as you do know. We have so many stories about Mirabai. Okay. And she became popular in Rajasthan for her bhajans. Bhajans. Tulsidas was a worshipper of Lord Rama only, right? And he composed the famous Ramcharit Manas, the Hindi version of Ramayana. Now we are going to discuss about mainly about the Nirguna sect, right? In the 14th and 15th centuries, Ramananda, Kabir Das ji, Guru Nanak ji remained great apostles of the Bhakti cult, right? So now,
apostles का क्या मतलब होता है?
What?
Apostles का क्या मतलब होता है?
मतलब people who are preaching this Bhakti movement mainly, right?
Okay.
Main heroes, right? Because we are talking about 14th and 15th century, right? Ramanujan was from 12th century mainly, right? So they were the main preachers. So now we have to focus on the difference, okay, how they are different from the Saguna people or the early reformers. Unlike the early reformers, they were not linked with any particular religious creed. Okay. So the earlier reformers were related to, like, some of them were following Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnuji, Lord Shiva, and so on. But all these people are not linked with any particular idea or particular religious creed. Okay. They completely rejected the idea of rituals and ceremonies. They in fact condemned polytheism. Polytheism means multiple God, the idea of multiple God, and believed in one God only. This is something which was also preached by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, right? They also denounced all forms of idolatry. Okay, because God is formless according to Nirguna sect. They strongly believed in bhakti as the only means of salvation. So please underline this part, because when you see this word only in the examination, you would incorrect it. Okay, because somebody on YouTube have told you that, okay, whenever you see only in the statement, it must be incorrect. But no. Okay. Yeah, most of the time it does, it happens, but not all the time. So Ramananda, who was Guru of Kabir Das ji, he was born at Allahabad. He was originally a follower of Ramanujan only, right? Later he founded his own sect and preached his principles in Hindi at Banaras and Agra region of Uttar Pradesh. He was a worshipper of Rama. So please remember, Ramanand was from the Sagun sect, but his disciples like Kabir Das ji, Dadu Dayal, Raidas, they were from the Nirguna sect. Okay, so don't get confused, because in the examination, when you would see this, you would think, okay, he was Guru of Kabir Das ji, so he should be from the Nirguna sect only. But no, he was worshipper of Lord Rama, opposed the caste system, and chose his disciples from all sections of society. Now, Kabir Das ji, I hope you know so many things about Kabir Das ji, about his couplets, right? That you have been studying, we have been studying right from our school days. So one of the famous disciples of Ramananda was Kabir Das ji. Okay, he was from Banaras only, and basically he gave the idea of, okay, according to Kabir Das ji, he actually tried his philosophy, his ideas, his messages, actually tried to link Hinduism and this Sufi movement. Okay, this Islam. Okay, it actually worked like a bridge between these two religions, right? And by his profession, he was a weaver. A weaver means bunkar, right? He became familiar with both Hinduism and Islamic teachings. And Kabir's object was to reconcile Hindus and Muslims. That's the important point. And establish harmony between these two sects. He denounced idolatry and rituals and laid great emphasis on the equality of man before God. So all people are from different creed, different race, different caste, they all are equal. He emphasized the essential oneness of all religions, oneness, one God, right? By describing Hindus and Muslims as pots of the same clay. Okay, what a beautiful word it is. Pots of the same clay, right? Made of same. एक ही मिट्टी की बनी है. For him, for Kabir Das ji, Ram and Allah, temple and mosque, mandir and masjid were the same things. So this is such a beautiful concept. Okay, and the whole idea of Indian civil services is also about the national integration, right? We all want to be a civil servant, but one of the key objective of civil services in India is national integration. Okay, so this is why, you know, such kind of phrases and messages and teachings of Kabir Das becomes relevant, and they are relevant even today. They would be relevant after 500 years also. He is regarded as the greatest of the mystic saints, and his followers were called Kabir Panthis. So you have three different keywords: Kabir Panthi, Bijak, and couplets. Please remember this. So Kabir Panthis were nothing but followers of Kabir Das ji only. And Bijak was his famous literary works, right? And couplets were those two lines, okay? Two lines, okay? For example, बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ, जैसे पेड़ खजूर, पंछी को छाया नहीं, पल लगे अति दूर. Okay. So that's the kind of couplets, right, that Kabir Das ji preached to spread messages. This is the picture of Kabir Das ji. Now, Guru Nanak ji in Sikhism, right, when I discussed topic from modern Indian history about the Anglo-Sikh war, Anglo-Punjab war, right? In that part only, I taught you the complete history of Sikhism. Anyway, so he was the founder of Sikh religion, and he was again a disciple of Kabir only. Fine. He was born in Talwandi, Lahore, Pakistan. Okay. Again, he denounced caste distinctions and rituals like bathing in holy rivers. Okay. His conception of religion was highly practical, understandably ethical. Abide pure amidst the impurities of the walls was one of his famous sayings all the time, right? Again, all the philosophy of Nirguna sects are applicable both on Guru Nanak also, on Raidas ji also, on Kabir Das ji only, right? Because they are the followers of Nirguna sect only, right? So their teachings would be quite similar. Again, his life was dedicated to establishing harmony between Hindus and Muslims. But his followers were known as Sikhs. Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In men's examination in 2018, there was a question, right? I think somebody is traveling, right? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Good. So you're passionate, how people are passionate. So please mute yourself. Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was another well-known saint and reformer of Bengal. Okay, he was from Bengal. Because sometimes in examination, okay, they ask match the following kind of questions. Okay. So please remember, Shankaracharya was from Kerala. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was from Bengal, right? He popularized the Krishna cult. He proclaimed the universal brotherhood of man. Okay, we are getting a lot of noise. Just a second, let me mute all of
वैसे
it.
तो 2000 की है, लेकिन वो उसमें प्रोमो कोड लगा था 1500 भेज रहा हूँ प्रोमो कोड.
Yeah, let's continue. So I was talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in fact in 2019 men's examination UPSC, they asked direct question on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you have to write around in 150 words. Can you imagine? 150 words. So why I'm saying this? Because people mainly focus on Kabir Das ji, Mirabai ji, that's it. Okay, no, you can't do that, right? You have to focus equally on all these aspects also. Yeah, so he proclaimed the universal brotherhood of man and condemned all the distinctions based on religion and casteism. He believed that enough love, through love and devotion, song and dance, a devotee can feel the presence of God. Okay, you can actually feel the presence of God, right? He accepted disciples from all classes and caste, and his teachings are widely followed in Bengal even today. Yeah, Gyanadev was from Maharashtra region. Okay, he was in fact the founder of Bhakti movement in Maharashtra in 13th century. Okay, and it was called the Maharashtra Dharma. The ideas propagated by Gyanadev, and in fact he wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita known as Gyaneshwari. So this was all about the main scholars, main saints, main preachers from Bhakti movement. Okay, and Sufism movement also we have completed that part. Now the focus of UPSC is on women, right? Not only in history part, but in all parts only. Okay, all parts, like in geography also they are asking questions like feminization of Indian agriculture. We have this topic in geography part, human geography. Okay, also contribution of women in Gandhian movement. All right, in essay part every year you get a question on women. Okay, there would be a topic on women. So this is why we have to prepare the women part. Okay, specifically. So in Bhakti movement also there were different women saints, right, that most of us do not know because they are not mentioned in our conventional books. Okay, anyway, the first one is Lal Ded. Okay, and in fact on this part UPSC has asked a question. Yeah, Laleswari or Lal Ded. Okay, she was from Kashmir region. Okay, he was a Kashmiri Saivite. Okay, Saivite means follower of Lord Shiva. She rejected all rituals and so on, right? That's the whole philosophy of reforms, Bhakti movement. Next is Ganga Sati. Ganga Sati. So he composed devotional songs in Gujarati. Okay, so she was from Gujarat. Gyanabai. Okay, she was also known as Sant Gyanabai, right? She was a Marathi religious poet. So remember this, Gyanabai or Janabai was a Marathi saint, Ganga Sati was a Gujarati saint, right? And Lal Ded was from Kashmir. Yeah. Sakhobai, again from the same region, that is Maharashtra, right? And she was a great devotee of Panduranga Vithala. Which Lord is known as Vitthal in Hindu community? Anybody? Lord Vishnu, I think, right? Lord Vishnu is also known as Lord Vithala. Wonderful, Anjali, good. Muktabai. So she was a saint in the Varkari tradition. Okay, and she wrote 41 abhangs. Okay, abhangs is nothing but the lines. Okay, the kind of bhajans, right? And Dhyaneswar was her elder brother. Okay, Akka Mahadevi. Please remember Andal and Akka Mahadevi. Okay, because they are from the South India. Okay, the early Bhakti movement in South India region. So Akka Mahadevi was a follower of Saivism, but Andala was a follower of Alvar. Okay, she was Alvar, a follower of Vishnuji, right? So remember this part because this was question of UPSC. They asked the same question. Okay, but they interchanged the explanations. Okay, so Akka Mahadevi and Andal both are from South India Bhakti movement. Okay, but Akka was a Saivite, right? A Nayanara. And her verses are known as Vachanas. Vachanas. Sarda Devi was a notable women saint and mystic of the 19th century, very late 19th century. She is an important woman. Okay, please focus here. She was the wife and spiritual counterpart of Ramakrishna Paramhans. He was guru of Swami Vivekananda. Okay, so Sarda Devi, and on Sarda Devi, UPSC has asked a question very recently, I think in 2016 or 15. Okay. So this was all about the factual information. Okay. Now for the mains examination, you should know what motivated them. Okay, this was a period of all those social evils, right? Those polygamy, those child marriage, the sati system, okay, parda system, all these things were prevalent. So what actually motivated all these women saints, okay, to join this bhakti movement, right? So that's important for the mains examination. But there were the first answer should be the social evils, okay, the kind of inequality that they have been facing from the time immemorial, right? So that was all about the bhakti movement. Okay, please revise these notes multiple times to get the command. And this is one of the most favorite topic of UPSC. So please take it very seriously. And after this, I will provide you MCQs based on this topic. Okay, as I told you, after finishing of medieval history, I will provide you top 200 MCQs. Yeah. Happy studying. Thank you. That is all from this topic.